Hi, how are you? This is Belen Diet and you're watching the E-volve show. Today we're going to be talking with a business coach, and even if you're not an entrepreneur or a business person, I really invite you to watch it because maybe you have some valuable information for yourself. Let me introduce you to Shannon Whaley. Shannon Whaley is a business coach and sees in a mission to help women grow their business by showing them how to use their personal stories and experiences. Hi, Shannon. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here today with us. Why don't we start by telling the audience a little bit about you and what you do with your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Shannon Whaley. I am a business and visibility coach. I am also a professional certified coach through the International Coach Federation. I am a certified mentor coach as well as a former coach trainer. So I've done all of the things. I've taught coaches how to become coaches. I've helped them build their businesses, and I also mentor them to help them become better coaches. And then I also help them build their businesses and get visible through on social media by using their personal story and just sharing more of who they are with their community.
Nice, beautiful. So how all of this started for you, Shannon? Like, was it like something you always wanted to do, or it was like kind of like your life brought you to be a business coach? How was happening for you?
Yeah, so I graduated from college in 2001, and I have a degree in psychology and feminist studies. And back then, coaching as we know it right now didn't exist. The internet, the internet didn't really exist. And so I really wanted to help women live big, bold lives. I wanted to help them follow their dreams. And what was out there in terms of coaching was like Tony Robbins. It was like very executive level, like white collar coaching. And so this was originally what I had wanted to be doing, but it just didn't exist in this form. So then I spent, I don't know, like 20 years doing, maybe it wasn't that much. Well, anyway, so it was enough time. Let's see, I started coaching in 2015. So I was a psych major. I don't know math. So whatever those years are.
Years.
Totally. And so, so I worked as a domestic violence counselor, and I was a drug and alcohol counselor, and then I became a hairstylist. So as I moved through my life, I picked up the skill set that I eventually used as a business coach to help people build and market their businesses. So, I have the skill set that I received as a counselor and through training as a coach, but then as a hairstylist, I was also building my own business, basically finding clients, marketing, how to connect with people, like really learning how important the relationship piece is of sales.
Yeah.
And so that has directly impacted how I work with my own clients, and then how I teach my clients how to build those relationships and then make their own sales.
Yeah. And it's so important because it's what we always talk, like all your experience, like all these years we've been talking, like that's why there are people like you and like other coaches that can support so many other women or people in general. And they don't have to go through like another 20 years to learn what you have learned, because you can actually help them walk through like in a more like smooth way, I guess.
Right. Yeah. So we can really collapse that timeline. You don't have take as many years as I did. So I get to like shorten that learning curve for my clients,
Yeah,
definitely.
because I feel, yeah, also like entrepreneurs, sometimes we're like, oh, we know how to do it. I'll do it myself. I research online, but actually like the steps to move you forward, like it takes everything much longer than what it can be if you have somebody supporting you, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, Saran, tell me a little bit about all this visibility that you teach to your clients. Like, is something like, because I saw on your website that you are all about like be yourself and like
Mm-hmm.
enjoy your life and then run your business around that. So, what
Mm-hmm.
are those things that you're teaching your clients like for visibility that not
Yeah.
everybody knows when we're doing business?
Yeah. Yeah. So, the old way of marketing was really just all focused about the business and not really sharing about like who you were. It was just focusing on the services and the programs and how you help your clients. And like I said, sales is all about relationships, and we're so much more interesting than what we do for a living. I feel like this is like a very, like it's a very, the first thing that people ask you is, so what do you do? Which
So,
is like such a boring, basic question, right? Like it's just to size people up. Like
yeah.
it's just a basic question. What's more interesting is, who are you? What do you like? Do we have things in common? What have you gone through? Like this is how you really find the like commonalities with people. And I think that we're oftentimes a lot more similar to people than we think, but because we've been kind of conditioned to separate ourselves, it's just we just get further and further away from each other. So one thing too that I really saw is, especially when I was first coaching, was that, for example, like I would see a health coach only talking about her diet and food and her exercises, but I didn't know anything about her. And I know that I was following a couple people who did this, where they didn't want to be health coaches anymore. They didn't want to talk about diet and exercise. They wanted to shift their business into something else. Well, because they hadn't shared the different parts of them that made them interesting, that made people want to know who they were as a person, they lost a lot of followers. They lost a lot of community members. People didn't give a rip about them anymore because they just wanted exercise and diet tips. And so one way to really have your community be invested in you and to stick around no matter what you do is to really share the different parts of you, because I mean, the same thing too, like people know my cat's names, they know my husband's name, right? They know where I'm from. They send me memes and they send me pictures because they know that I like cupcakes, or they know,
Uh-huh.
right? And so like, to me, that's success.
Totally.
When people are thinking of me away from business, away from, because who knows, maybe I won't be a business coach forever. Maybe I'll do something else, but they're along for the ride. They know I moved to Italy, and so they can't wait to hear my different stories. So this means that they're invested in who I am, and I've built a relationship with people. And so when you do that, it makes your sales conversation so much easier, and it feels like you're talking to an old friend. So, but it actually makes the potential customer feel like they're talking to an old friend, because you might not really know who they are, but they know all about you, and you've already built that trust. That's like a huge barrier in and of itself to getting hired. If they don't trust you, right now you're kind of like rolling a boulder up a hill. But if they're invested, and this is that visibility piece. So by sharing your story, talking about what you're interested in, talking about your values, what you're passionate about, on top of your business stuff, by the time you get them on the phone, maybe you don't even need to get on the phone because they're like, I know that when I have the money, I'm hiring you. And all of a sudden you see the sale come in.
Mm-hmm.
All you had to do is just show up and be yourself. Yeah. And it makes things so much more fun, enjoyable for everybody. You start to move away from the slimy sales tactics that have been taught in the industry, and you get to just get paid to be yourself, which that's like a dream come true.
Yeah. It's such a brilliant way to see it. It's true, like sometimes like you try to do business and all these marketing strategies, and you're like wondering, well, why people is not contacting me or like reaching out on Instagram. And it's true, like if you're not really authentic to who you are, then you're not building up that trust. So I think it's like a brilliant way, like for all of you guys who are watching, like just start sharing yourself, your day-to-day, what Shannon was saying, like even your husband, your cat. It's like more creating that relationship.
Absolutely.
And much more
Absolutely.
enjoyable. That's why you say, like then your business becomes more like natural, more you, so you're not like working so hard on it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and this is, I know I'm like an open book. There are certain parts, like sometimes I might not share about my niece or my nephew or like, family stuff, because that's for my sister and my brother-in-law to share.
Yeah.
But I'll share I'm an open book, and I know that not everybody's like that. And so my encouragement is just share as much as feels good.
Yeah.
So, maybe you don't share about your kids. I know some people don't want to share any of their pictures of their children, which I totally understand that. So share your dog, share maybe like plants, or you have hobbies. You can share the different parts of you that you are ready and willing to share. You don't have to be an open book. You don't have to share all the hard, dirty stuff if you don't want to, if that's not what you feel called to share. Just share enough that people can kind of get a feel for you and understand if they like you, like, oh, she's interesting. Yeah. Or, he's interesting. They're interesting.
Well, and what you say also, like people, we are all so different. So sometimes we think like, oh, there is so many coaches, or there is so many restaurants or whatever, but it's always something so unique about yourself that you're gonna attract those clients that they like you. Like you don't have to try to be liked by everybody, right? It's just like people will be attracted to you because they feel like more connected, they're more alike or something like that. So
Hands
super
down.
important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then
Yeah. And that's what sets you apart, is your story and who you are. So there's so many business coaches. There's so many people they could hire besides me, right? But I have a full practice. I have a good Facebook group, right? And so they're choosing me because they like who I am, my sense of humor, all of those things. So that's what really sets you apart is you.
just be unique. So another part that I really like about you that I was reading on your website is all about this, like enjoying life and not hustling as we are used to. And like nowadays in this culture, it feels like you're not being productive if you're not like hustling all day. So what is your input in those subjects?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So what I saw specifically within the last year, as my business really started to shift more into a pleasure-based business, was that I was noticing that my clients who they may or may not have been working in corporate America, it didn't matter. But what I noticed was that they were bringing their corporate mindset into their businesses. They were bringing that really toxic productivity, like, there's the coaches and the leaders out there who are like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. You got to wake up at 5 a.m. You got to hustle and work harder than anybody else in order to have what you want. It's awful. Like, That is so demotivating. You know, there's people who are like, well, if that's what I have to do in order to be successful, air quotes, then I'm not even going to start because that sounds awful. And it is awful. And that's actually how I ran my business for 5 years before I decided to do things completely like a total 180, total 180. And so as I really started, so like what we're taught is to, you know, you work 5 days a week, you rest on the weekends, maybe you're probably bringing work home with you. So maybe you get Sunday to yourself, but then you're recovering from your 6-day work week. And then you're stressed out because you got to go to work on Monday. So your nervous system never gets to calm down. You never actually get to have fun. You're always stressed. And so that's how I really lived and ran my business for 5 years. The gurus tell you that you have to have everything, right? Podcasts and newsletters. You got to find time to do all of this, right? So pretty soon you're working crazy hours in your business. And all of this like time freedom, you know, you see on the internet, like people on the beach and they're flying, you know, to Paris, and you're like, what am I doing wrong? Like, what the hell? Like, where did I go wrong?
Totally.
And it was so then there's just this always like this sense of like failure. You're seeing all of this. They're telling you got to hustle hard, but then all those same people are like drinking fruity drinks on a beach, and there's this like huge disconnect. So what I did in 2020 was I was like, okay, this is not sustainable. And I decided and thought like, okay, like what if I worked my schedule around playing and having fun and sleeping and like naps and midday baths and workouts? Like, what if I scheduled my day around pleasure and play versus trying to like sneak some fun in here and there? And it rapidly transformed my business.
Oh, wow.
Things took off. All the clients came in, and the biggest thing was that it just felt different. It felt so much better. And so that's now what I teach and talk to my clients about.
So do you think like because you changed yourself, maybe you were more relaxed, like it was something that you changed about yourself that it kind of like manifest outside, like that's how you start bringing more clients and everything?
Yeah, because you know, like when you're like going and you're stressed out, you show up differently. And it was always kind of like a dog chasing its tail doing business the other way, right? Where it's like, it's never enough and you're putting in so many hours and you're not seeing the clients show up and you're not seeing the money in the bank, and you're marketing from a place of like, I have to get clients, and like this, you're marketing from a place of like, this isn't working and I'm trying to like make things work, versus really relaxing into it, embodying these feelings, that's when you become this lighthouse. People are drawn to you and they're like, okay, I want what she has. Totally. She looks so chill. Like she's like she's actually like living what she's talking about, and there's not a disconnect. And I think that's what a lot of people, they get turned off about coaches and entrepreneurs, but they don't know why.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's that energetic piece that I think intuitively they know that there's like a disconnect there, that like what they're saying, something doesn't feel right, but I don't actually know what it is. And that's when, you know, I can't put my finger on it, but there's just something about her that I don't like.
Yeah.
And it's because they're not living what they're talking about.
Because it's like more like nowadays, all this social media and trying to look perfect and trying to have everything perfect online. and then it's not real life, so people don't really connect with it because they're like, well,
Absolutely.
my house doesn't look that beautiful with that beautiful kitchen, huge counter. People is like, that's not,
Right.
like, I cannot connect with that, right?
Definitely. Like, where's the mess? Like, where's the real
It's
life?
a
Like,
messy
where's
life.
the breakdown? Totally. And I mean, you definitely don't want to be sharing, like, if there's like a breakdown or if something's like awful, you keep that to yourself until you've come through on the other side. You have a takeaway, you can share like the wisdom, but share that piece, because that's what the more relatable that you can be, obviously the better it's going to be for your
Yeah,
sales.
totally. That is so cool. I'm like such a good like learning today with all this. It's true, like being yourself at the end is like being yourself and coming up in your business in a more real way. So, Sanu, what do
Mhm.
you tell us about what you have, like your freebie for all the audience that we
Yeah.
have today watching?
Absolutely. So I have 60 writing prompts to help you get more visible. So this is 60 days of content for you, writing prompts to help you start showing up on social media more authentically and sharing more of your story and more of who you are with your community.
That's awesome. Do you want to add anything else to our conversation today?
Yeah, I would love to, if you're feeling called, to join me over in Wild Woman Rising. That's my Facebook community. And then you can also find me on Instagram at the Shannon Whaley.
Awesome. Well, I
Yeah.
invite you all to connect with Shannon. I bet you guys are going to have a lot of fun getting to know her, and we'll be in touch for the next talk.